Federal investigators are looking at new clues about the final moments of the helicopter flight that ended in tragedy for 9 people, including Kobe Bryant. Newly surfaced video taken not long before the crash appears to show the aircraft in mid-flight before it ran into very serious trouble. Our transportation correspondent, that's Chris Van Cleve, is in Calabasas, California. Chris, it's so hard to look at this video. What are investigators learning?
Gail, good morning. The real hard work of this investigation really just beginning. We do know the helicopter did not have a terrain avoidance warning system or a black box. It wasn't required to have either of those, but it does make it a little bit more challenging for investigators. They have recovered an iPad that may have belonged to the pilot and a cell phone at the scene. They are going to go through those. They also found maintenance records from the helicopter in the wreckage. Those are being analyzed. But the big question, why did the helicopter fall from the sky, remains a mystery. Minutes from disaster. New cell phone video appears to show Kobe Bryant's helicopter circling near Burbank Airport before the crash. Tuesday, the NTSB used a helicopter to airlift the wreckage off the hillside. The coroner says all 9 victims have now been recovered and 4 have been positively identified, including Kobe Bryant.
This was a high-energy impact crash.
About 35 minutes after takeoff, with the weather deteriorating, pilot Ara Zabayan asked controllers to track him on radar, but he was flying too low. 4 minutes later, he radioed he was going to go above the layer of clouds. Flying in potentially blinding fog, he reached 2,300 feet. In its final 12 seconds of flight, the helicopter banked left and abruptly descended, falling at up to 5,000 feet per minute. Its last recorded speed, about 184 miles per hour. Do you have a sense if the helicopter came down all in one piece, or is there evidence that it perhaps broke up as it was coming down?
Preliminary information is that the helicopter was in one piece when it impacted the terrain.
And they were only a few minutes flight away from their destination, the Camarillo Airport, here at the crash scene. One thing that came up at the press conference that's getting a lot of buzz was this idea that they were 25, 30 feet from clearing a ridge. The area where the crash happened is a series of ridges and ravines, and the rate at which they were coming down, that helicopter was going to crash, whether it cleared that ridge or not. Anthony?
All right, Chris, thanks.
Good evening, and it's great to start another week with all of you at home. And we begin tonight with new reporting here after the awful news that basketball legend Kobe Bryant was killed in a helicopter crash along with 8 others. Tonight we've learned their stories too. The news broke on Sunday, the untimely death of the sports legend who was flying to a youth basketball game with his 13-year-old daughter and 7 others. No one survived. We have learned the helicopter was flying in fog that had grounded other helicopters. The sheriff's department was not flying. Tonight, the audio and the moment the helicopter goes off radar. The NTSB and FBI are on the scene tonight, and ABC's chief national affairs correspondent Tom Yamas leads us off tonight from California.
Tonight, the NTSB, with help from the FBI, combing the scene of that deadly helicopter crash that killed NBA superstar Kobe Bryant, his 13-year-old daughter Gianna, and 7 other people. The weather Sunday morning bad enough that police departments did not fly their own helicopters, but Bryant's took off in heavy fog. How thick was that fog?
It was thick. Imagine jumping into a pool filled with milk and opening your eyes.
Scott Dalen witnessed the crash. You can hear the helicopter and you can't see anything.
I can't see anything. Hearing the helicopter, all of a sudden the helicopter's immediately above me. I can hear it, but I can't see it.
Tonight, we're learning the identity of the pilot, Ara Zabayan, who, according to the company that trained him, had been flying for 20 years. According to authorities, Bryant's chopper departs Orange County for Thousand Oaks at 9:06 a.m., heading to his daughter's basketball game. At 9:20, the aircraft circles near Burbank in a holding pattern.
He's been holding for about 15 minutes.
At 9:44, eyewitnesses report hearing a helicopter flying very low. Air traffic controllers inform the pilot they can't detect him on radar.
2 Echo X-ray, you're still too low level for flight following at this time.
Data shows that seconds prior to impact, the aircraft rapidly accelerated, slamming into a canyon near Calabasas at 9:45 a.m.
We're looking for photos of the weather in the area of the crash.
Among those killed, John Altobelli, a baseball coach, his wife Carrie, and their 13-year-old daughter Alyssa. Also on board, Christina Mauser, an assistant basketball coach and mother of 3.
How do you tell a child their mommy's no longer with us?
For years, Bryant regularly commuted by helicopter to avoid LA traffic and have more time with his family.
I had to figure out a way where I could still train and focus on the craft, but still not compromise family time.
At this time, we ask that you please rise.
The shock of the tragedy quickly spreading across the globe. NBA players openly weeping during pregame tributes.
They're going to take a 24-second violation in honor of number 24.
This guy was like a Pied Piper. People would follow him everywhere just to look at him, to touch him, for him to say hello. For me, this is a god-awful day.
And Tom, this is being felt by so many, and the NBA just announcing before we came on the air that the Lakers-Clippers game scheduled for tomorrow night has now been postponed.
That's right, David. The league saying they made that decision out of deep respect for the Lakers, which are deeply mourning this tragic loss. And David, we have to remember this investigation is just getting started along with the recovery effort. It could take days, if not weeks, because of the steep terrain to get up there and figure out what exactly happened.
So, but this guy
There were a few occasions where I was absolutely tired from being up with Bianca and Capri, and I thought she had left to school without saying goodbye. I'd text and say, "No kiss?" And Gianna would reply with, "Mama, I kissed you, but you were asleep and I didn't want to wake you." She knew how much her morning and evening kisses meant to me, and she was so thoughtful to remember to kiss me every day. She was Daddy's girl, but I know she loved her more in the WNBA. She would have made a huge difference. She would have made a huge difference for women's basketball. Gigi was motivated to change the way everyone viewed women in sports. She wrote papers in school defending women and wrote about how the unequal pay difference for the NBA and WNBA leagues wasn't fair. And I truly feel she made positive changes for the WNBA players now, since they knew Gigi's goal was to eventually play in the WNBA. I'm still so proud of Gianna. She made a difference and was kind to everyone she met in the 13 years she was here on Earth. Her classmates shared many fond memories about Gianna with us, and those stories reminded me that Gianna loved and showed everyone that no act of kindness is ever too small to make a difference in someone's life.
You guys can understand that, then what you'll see